Alright, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to GWA on TEW 2020. I believe this is episode 8, and we are here with showcase number 6. We're going to keep the Global Heavyweight Championship tournament rolling. As you can see in the last show, Tully Blanchard, Jushin Thunder Liger, Cactus Jack, and Vader have all advanced to the next round. But on this show, we're going to finish the first round. We've got a few great matches. Actually, let's pull up the bracket real quick so we can see what those matches are. So tonight we are going to have Dino Bravo taking on Bob Backlund, Dan Severn to face Nikita Koloff, Rocky Johnson vs Samu, and in tonight's main event, it will be Jerry the King Lawler versus Kevin Von Erich. So let's not waste any time, let's kick things off with a pre-show bout that had terrible wrestling and non-existent crowd heat. The Navajo Warrior defeated Blue Demon Jr. in 10 minutes 30 by pinfall with a tomahawk chop. An injury to Blue Demon Jr. meant that an audible was called and the finish was changed on the fly. I think I've only had an audible maybe once ever in TEW. So the fact that we're bringing in Blue Demon, who I love Blue Demon, and I really wanted him to be a big thing for us, and he gets a broken neck on the first show. That is terrible. Absolutely terrible. 46, I mean, it's not fair to rate Blue Demon in a match where he broke his neck, you know? What a shit way to start the show, man. What a terrible way to start the show. He's probably going to be out for a while. I got Jose Lothario on a local worker deal because I thought maybe he'd be a cool manager for Blue Demon Jr. Anyone who doesn't know Jose Lothario, he is probably most famous for training Shawn Michaels and even had some storylines with him in the Attitude Era. So, damn, this is a really disappointing start to the show. Let's hope that's the only injury. Yep, thank you, Bob Armstrong. In a pre-show bout that didn't have much heat and terrible wrestling, the Sheepherders defeated George Wells and Robert Thompson in 11:28 when Butch Miller pinned Robert Thompson with a battering ram. Just two local workers. Just needed to get the Sheepherders some momentum. We haven't seen them much in GWA, but the few times we have, they've copped some losses. I think, anyways. At least Butch has. I know he did like a singles match at some point. Maybe I'm misremembering that. Who knows? Either way, George Wells and Robert Thompson have absolutely zero chemistry, so we're not going to sign them as a tag team anytime soon. But yeah, we move on to the final pre-show match. In a pre-show bout that had a decent reaction from the crowd, but subpar wrestling, Tony Atlas defeated Jeep Swenson in 9 minutes 18 by pinfall with a Samoan drop. The simple reason for this booking was Tony Atlas was in the Who's Not section of the creative meeting, so I was like, you know what, let's give him some momentum. This is only his second match. His first one, he lost to Vader. But, you know, some momentum. Tony Atlas is a good performer. You know, Jeep Swenson, go bring back Bane from Batman and Robin. So, yeah, good stuff. Now we move on to the televised part of the show, and we go straight into a tournament match. In a bout that had good heat and decent wrestling, Bob Backlund defeated Dino Bravo in 11:28 by submission with a crossface chicken wing. This match was part of the Global Heavyweight Championship tournament. Of course, the stipulation, if you guys remember, is at the pay-per-view First Strike, Bob Backlund lost through cheating, of course, and he lost his GWA contract. But if he can win this tournament and become the champion, they'll have no choice but to give him a contract back. So he's won the first round, so that's a good sign. The match was too short for an important match. We're going to get that a lot because we're working on the TV time. But we'll make do. Now, Nikita Koloff is entering for his tournament match against Dan Severn, but he has his stable, the Russians, with Ivan Koloff and Boris Zukov. They come to the ring with him and basically just try to intimidate Dan Severn, try and put fear into him ahead of their match. But, I mean, Dan Severn is one tough son of a bitch. He doesn't give in. He stands tall and he stands unafraid and is ready for the match. In a good match, Nikita Koloff defeated Dan Severn in 10:57 by pinfall with a Russian sickle. The match, of course, was part of the Global Heavyweight Championship tournament. I probably should have booked Severn to win just based off of those performances, but they have good chemistry. It was a 65, which is one of our best matches. Not the best, but one of the best, so I'm pretty happy with that. Dan Savone I should probably use more often, even if he's not advancing in the tournament. So, yeah, Nikita Koloff advances. Tully Blanchard and Paul Ellering storm into the office of Nick Bockwinkel, furious at his decision to allow Bob Backlund entry into the tournament. Tully beat him fair and square, big quotation marks because that wasn't fair at all, at first strike, and the stipulation clearly stated he can no longer work for GWA. Nick reiterates what he said last week about Bob not being on the roster, but he can earn it back by winning the tournament. Nick also tells Paul and Tully to take this opportunity to realize that he won't stand for their underhanded tactics and immoral behavior. Consider this a warning. Nick Bockwinkel is going to be a very fair and generous commissioner, but he will draw the line when it needs to be drawn. And in these the first week or two of his new job, he already has to do that with Tully Blanchard Enterprise. So, yeah, good stuff there. In a poor match, the Rock and Roll Express defeated Harlem Heat in 10 minutes and 8 seconds when Ricky Morton pinned Stevie Ray with a double drop kick. I did keep Booker T strong because I do want to book Harlem Heat as a big, probably the biggest tag team down the line for GWA. But as for right now, they're lesser known names. We got to build them up a bit. I know a loss won't do a lot for that, but we still got to test the waters with them. So mid-30s, a lot of improvement to be made there. Now, Wendy Richter is backstage in the locker room. She's preparing because she has a match with Susan Sexton, who, if you remember, last week had a pre-show match where she had an amazing performance. So I thought it was a good match to do. But while she's preparing for the match, the Glamour Girls, who are the team that Wendy Richter beat in a tag team match last week with Tina Moretti, they just ambush her. They beat the shit out of her. They're throwing her into the lockers. Judy Martin says that the GWA is theirs to conquer, and she's not going to let anyone like Wendy Richter get in their way like she did last week. The Glamour Girls walk off, leaving Wendy laying in agony on the locker room floor. Now, I'll be honest, I think the Glamour Girls, especially Judy Martin, had some great performances, so I would love to try and use them a bit more. In fact, I think quite a lot of the women's division had good performances. Even if we had that weird match rating thing, which, if you watched the last episode, you would hopefully remember what I'm talking about. But yeah, I just wanted to use them more. I thought great performances equals great ratings, I think. So, yeah. And about that had a decent reaction from the crowd, but subpar wrestling. Rocky Johnson defeated Samu in 10:33 by submission with a Boston Crab. So he advances to round 2 of the Global Heavyweight Championship tournament. Samu with a better performance than Rocky Johnson. I didn't quite expect that. Is there actually a reason for that? Penalized for inconsistency, stamina, poor gimmick, declining physical ability. Okay. The only thing we can really try and fix there is the poor gimmick. Although, to be fair, this is only his second appearance for us, I think, so it might be too early to change his gimmick. So then we have the Chris Cruz Corner. We haven't seen it yet on this show, so we might as well get a Chris Cruz Corner segment in there somewhere. Captain Lou Albano and his client Vader come out to the Chris Cruz Corner, and basically, I don't go a whole lot into specifics in the writing of this segment, but basically Albano's just cutting a promo on the Global Heavyweight Championship tournament. He's hyping up Vader. He's saying next week Vader's going to run straight through Cactus Jack and move on to the semifinals. And then Cactus Jack just comes down and is like, no, that's not the case at all. And then there's a bit of banter, a bit of war of words between Cactus Jack and Lou Albano. I think they're both very eccentric people, very crazed people, so it would be a really entertaining segment if that were to happen. And then eventually Cactus Jack and Vader just kind of stare each other down, trying to kind of analyze their opponent before their match next week. So, yeah, 60 rated segment, not as good as I was expecting, but still pretty good. I'll take it. Yeah, Vader versus Cactus Jack next week. Oh, this is not quite what I was hoping for a main event. In a decent match, Jerry Lawler defeated Kevin Von Erich in 14:50 by pinfall with a pile driver. Jerry Lawler moves on to round 2 of the Global Heavyweight Championship tournament. Yeah, I mean, I knew this wasn't going to do as well as last week's main event because that was our best match of all time. It was Vader and Bam Bam Bigelow. But still, I was hoping for at least in the 60s. Kevin Von Erich with a sprained ankle. Lawler and Von Erich just don't click. Very disappointing. This show as a whole has kind of been disappointing. You know, Blue Demon, the Vader segment kind of not being up to standard. I'm kind of scared to see what the overall rating is. Thank you, Les Thatcher. Lost its popularity in 10 regions. That is a major blow. Well, what are the ways we can... we got to identify the problems. I think it was just booking, really. I don't think there was anything specific other than injuries. Anything I can really kind of actively counter with. So I guess we'll just try and better the shows next time. Which, to be fair, I do think when it comes to stuff like the tournament, like if we have a look, you know, obviously when you get like further into the tournament and there's less people, it means there's higher quality people because they're the ones winning. Therefore, I do think this round will be a lot better than the round of 16, you know? So we've got a long way to go, but we'll get there. Let's have a look at showcase number 6. The feedback from viewers has been that the show was good, although some found it underwhelming. Fair enough. We'll do what we can. 2 injuries. Yes, let's have a look at the injuries. Kevin Von Erich can only work angles for 6 days. Blue Demon is unavailable for a year and 2 months, or a year, a month, and a week. That is really upsetting because I do love Blue Demon. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna release him. I'm gonna shortlist him first, and once he's healed, I will re-sign him. But the thing is, I know it's kind of a shitty thing to release someone who's injured, but he's on a handshake deal for $40 a show. If he was on a written contract, yeah, I would keep him and I would keep paying him, but he's not. So once he's... I would have helped with the surgery if it was actually, was it a thing? Maybe I skipped it. Well, I don't think it was a thing. Anyways. Now there's a couple things I want to go over before we end the episode. Over the past couple episodes, some of you guys have made some great suggestions for people to sign, and a lot of them I'm absolutely going to look at, but there's a couple in particular I want to look at right now. Someone suggested Sabu, who I would love to sign maybe for developmental. That's where my head's at right now. So I think let's go ahead and offer him a handshake deal, and we might send him to developmental. Not a developmental one, but I would love to look at Terry Funk. Oh, he's WCW. That's a shame. Someone said Arthur as like a manager for the Samoans, which would be fantastic. So let's go ahead and sign him. And, wait, hang on, what was that? Declining physical abilities. Okay, so events and TV shows, we can do that. And then they also suggested something I might do soon, because Yokozuna had a bit of a poor performance for us, is to give him back his old Coquina gimmick and throw him in with the Samoans and do like an early bloodline. So we might do that at some point, especially if Arthur joins on. The Heavenly Bodies would be great. Actually, I'll look at these guys off recording because there's quite a few of them. There's like the Heavenly Bodies. Paul Orndorff would be a great one. A lot of great names there. So I'm excited to do that. The one question I have for you guys, because we still haven't determined a name yet. If we go child companies, what do we call our developmental? Because we don't have a name for it yet. Wait, why do they have such a... Did I sign a roster and just forget it? Okay, I must have signed a roster. Did I? Okay, in my defense, I do get a little bit lazy and don't record for several weeks. So I think I just signed a roster and forgot about it, to be totally honest with you. I still, for the life of me, don't remember doing this. It does look like a roster I would sign, though. So let's go and have a look. This will be a surprise even to myself. Okay, well, first of all, contract type. Actually, I suppose let's go up here. Go developmental. So these are the ones that are signed to GWA but just sent down. So we've got X-Pac, Too Cold Scorpio, Chris Candido, Gangrel, Raven, Taz, and the Sinister Minister, who will just be a manager. Some of you guys may remember I'm looking at doing Raven and Gangrel as a tag team if I can. So there's that. So what's the rest of the roster? Because I noticed a few good people in there. Acer Dorado, Al Burke, Road Dogg, Brian Cox, who we just had on a local worker deal, I think. Wait, that was the show before, wasn't it? Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Dave Finley as a road agent and wrestler. That is pretty good. Debbie Malenko, Don Callis, interesting. Doug Basham, Crash Holly, Heidi Lee Morgan, referee Jim Molyneux, Kevin Kelly. I love some Kevin Kelly. Mac McMurray as a ref. Malia Hosaka, Mariko Yoshida, Mike Anthony, Mike Maverick, Paul Jones, I presume as a road agent. Randy Ella, Reaper, Rob Van Dam. This was one that I was quite excited by when I saw him on the list a few seconds ago. Scott Hudson, Terry Power, and Ultimo Guerrero. It's crazy to me that I really, for the life of me, don't remember signing this roster. I probably should record more often. I think that's why, because it's been a month or two since I recorded the last episode. Who's in our decisions? Brad Armstrong? Sweet, we'll set up that tag team. What was Brian Armstrong's thing? Heel? Okay, we can do that. Alright, there we go. What's mostly putting us in debt? Production? Did I up the production? I can't close that. I did up the production. Okay, yeah, sure. Okay, I won't set up any shows or anything like that, but hopefully in the next episode we can run a developmental event. But yeah, I still need to know, what do we name this company? I want to hear your suggestions. Again, this is basically like our version of NXT. So if that helps come up with ideas at all, perfect. If not, then that's fine. But yeah, that about does it. Thank you guys very much for joining me today. I do appreciate it. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time.